Go.
We are Catholics when we receive the Lord in the Eucharist. We are the same Catholics when we vote. The same eyes that read the Scripture at Mass are the same eyes that read the ballots, our candidates, and government proposals. The same hands that we fold in prayer to God are the same hands with which we mark our ballots. So what I'd like to present tonight is a couple thoughts on the heart of faithful fellowship, citizenship. Some thoughts from Archbishop Charles Caput, pardon me, French, from the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. Public witness on issues of public concern is natural for Catholics because we have a commitment to the common good and to the dignity of every human person. These two pillars, the common good and the dignity of every human person, come right out of Scripture. They underpin all Catholic social thought. For Catholics, our political involvement flows from our religious belief about creation and salvation. The human person is made in the image and likeness of God, and Christ died for each of us. Politics is where the competing moral values or visions of society meet and struggle. Democracy depends on people of conviction fighting for what they believe in the public square, respectfully and ethically, but also vigorously. If we believe that a particular issue is gravely evil and damaging to society, then we have a duty, not just a religious duty, but also a democratic duty, to hold accountable the candidates who want to allow that evil. The separation of church and state can never mean religious believers should be silent. About legislative issues, the appointment of judges, and public policy. It's not the job of the church to sponsor political candidates, nor is it very much the job of the church. It's the job of the Catholic Church to guide Catholics to think and act in accordance with their faith. At a time when our religious freedom itself is being challenged and compromised in public policy, it is more critical than ever that we as Catholics, along with all people of conscience, to speak up in defense of religious liberty and moral convictions. A couple points to keep in mind. Catholic is a word that has real meaning. We don't control or invent the meaning as individuals. We inherit it from the gospel and the experience of the church from over 2,000 years. We cannot truthfully claim to be Catholic and then act as though we're not. As a Catholic, we have a relationship with the church and with Jesus Christ. If we say we're Catholic, we need to show that by our love for the church and our fidelity to what she teaches and believes. As a Catholic, the church is not a political organism. It has no interest in partisanship because getting power or running governments is not what she's about, nor does she identify herself with any political party. Each of us needs to follow his or her own conscience. But conscience doesn't emerge miraculously from a vacuum. It's not a matter of personal opinion or preference. If our conscience has a habit of telling us what we want to hear on difficult issues, then it's probably badly formed. A healthy conscience is the voice of God's truth in our hearts, and it should usually make us uncomfortable, because none of us is yet a saint. According to the Church, when evaluating candidates or political party, there are 5 non-negotiable issues that are intrinsically evil and must never be promoted because they're fundamentally against the moral law. They are abortion, euthanasia, embryonic stem cell research, human cloning, and homosexual or same-sex marriage. So can a Catholic in good conscience vote for a pro-choice candidate? The Archbishop says he can't and won't. But he knows some serious Catholics who do that. And if they vote for that particular candidate, it can't be because they're pro-choice. There must be some other proportionate reason so magnificent that it drives them to elect to support that particular candidate. And social justice does not trump population control or reduction in that effort. That particular proportionate reason, we must be able to explain with a clean heart, to the victims of abortion or any other of the non-negotiables when we meet them in the next life, which we certainly will. We're confident that these victims will accept our motives so we can proceed. In the end, the heart of truly faithful citizenship is this. We're better citizens when we're more faithful Catholics. The more authentically Catholic we are in our lives, choices, actions, and convictions, the more truly we will contribute to the moral and political life of our nation. And out on various tables, there's a prayer that I'd like us all to somehow say. We didn't have enough cards, so we could get together and look. It's called the Election Prayer for Life. Father had said that at Monday's Mass. And if we would want to try to see if we can do this together, we can start. Oh God, we acknowledge you today as Lord, not only of individuals, but of nations and governments. We thank you for the privilege of being able to organize ourselves politically and of knowing that political loyalty does not mean disloyalty to you. We thank you for your law, which the founding fathers acknowledged and recognized as higher than any human law. We thank you for the opportunity that each election puts before us to exercise our solemn duty, not only to vote, but to influence countless others to vote, and to vote correctly. Lord, we pray that your people may be awakened, that they realize that while politics is not their salvation, their response to you requires that they be politically active. Awakening your people to know that they are not called to be a sect fleeing the world, but a community of faith renewing the world. Awaken them with the same hands lifted up to you in prayer are the hands that pull the lever in the voting booth, that the same eyes that read your word are the eyes that read the names on the ballot, and that we do not cease to be Christians when we enter the voting booth. Awaken your people to a commitment to justice, to the sanctity of marriage and family, to the dignity of each individual human life, and to the truth that human life begins when human life begins, not one moment later. Lord, we rejoice today that we are citizens of your kingdom. May that make us all more committed to be faithful citizens on earth. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you, Mike.